past few years there's been a lot of controversy regarding Oldham Council funding or granting money to Oldham Athletic Football Club. There's a chap by the name of Barry Owen. Now, Barry Owen is a former Detective Superintendent of Greater Manchester Police, and Barry was a non-executive director of Oldham Athletic for, I believe, 18 years. He is a huge Oldham Athletic fan, and he wants the club to do well. There'd be nobody more delighted if Latics actually reached the playoff final at Wembley than Mr. Barry Owen. And Barry Owen has been criticised. People are referring to it as sour grapes. There's nothing further from the truth in regards Barry Owen. He's a very honest guy, and he's looked into the transparency, openness and honesty of the council and the transactions of the funds at Oldham Athletic Football Club. He was querying it while he was there, and what Barry's referring to is the number of and the amount of money that's gone into the club by Oldham Council. There's one here dating way back when, and it's the £5.5 million that went into Oldham Athletic Football Club. The local council is expected to secure the club's future. And in the same article, it also states that as part of the deal includes another £700,000 grant. It's there. So, you know, it's a big lump of money, and it was minuted shortly thereafter that the council would not put any further money into Oldham Athletic Football Club, but it did. There was another sort of article again on Oldham Athletic and Oldham Council, and again it raises a lot of questions, and I think it's only right that these questions should be asked and should be answered. There should be some transparency, particularly using public money. I work in the construction industry, and to use an analogy, if I was, say, doing £1 million project in, say, sake of argument, in Nottingham, and I turn around to a business colleague and said, you know, I've got a cash flow problem, please give me £100,000, put it into my company, and I will use that as cash flow, and we've got 20% margin on a £1 million project, so I'll make 200 grand, and we'll split it at the end of the job when I've delivered it. You know, you get 100 grand, we get 100 grand, and of course you get your 100 grand back, the initial investment that you put in for cash flow. If I then transferred a lump of that money out of my company and put it elsewhere, I'm pretty sure whoever had invested 100 grand in my company would ask me questions and say, well, why have you transferred it out? Where's it gone? And I think that's about the best analogy I can use to demonstrate the situation we've got here at Oldham Council and Oldham Athletic. In an article in The Guardian, it states that the council paid the club £3.38 million, the Lancaster club. And it also states Oldham Council made an additional payment for the club of 1.2 million, specifically to develop the North Stand. And it states here that the chap who owned it at the time stated that he wrote off a debt to the club of 3.8 million. It's all here. You know, these are figures that are in the public domain, and so there's 3.8 million there that is written off. Another 3.38 million to the club, but it goes on to state here that this chap over the years of ownership, Blitz, says he put in around 40 million to the club. So he said you know, there's 40 million pound gone into Oldham Athletic Football Club. So that's on top of the 5 million that the council gave Oldham Athletic Football Club. And of course, last year but one, a lot of controversy, because just before the election, the local elections, the Labour-run Oldham Council put in another £1 million into a privately owned club. stating it was for the ground. And as far as Barry is aware, and as the general public in Oldham aware, it's never been audited. Never said, have they spent it? Have we got any receipts? There's nothing. And so, you know, it does raise a lot of questions. There's then moving on to most recently, so it's March this year, Oldham Council saying they're going to put £5 million, additional £5 million into Oldham Athletic Football Club. It states rather sort of laughingly, you know, they're looking to get other people to donate £65 million. These people are clowns, absolute clowns. Who the hell is going to put £65 million? And it's saying, oh, we're going to have a sports town in Oldham. I mean, who believes this nonsense? And so Barry Owen has obviously approached Oldham Council and Oldham Athletic, not in any other way other than to say, where's the money going? You know, if you add up those figures I've just given you, it comes to 34.58 million. The 5.5 million, the 700 grand, the 3.38 million, the 1.2 million, 3.8 million that was written off, another 14 million that was put into the club, 1 million for supporters of the pitch, and then more recently the 5 million. So it's 34.58 million put into the club. There are rumours abound that Mr. Rothwell has put 12 million or paid 12 million. Again, Barry Owen is simply asked, you know, where is it? Where's it gone? Now, when I'm going about moving money between companies, I've actually got the accounts at Oldham Athletic Football Club. They're here, and the accounts were submitted very, very recently. But within the accounts, it also states that they've got the latest accounts 1 month ago, 28th of March 2025. So the accounts are pretty much up to date. So they have got sort of the latest figures in them. But interestingly, and this is what Barry was asking, and I don't think he was asking it in a malicious way. It's just being fobbed off all the time. It says here mutual companies. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you've got Oldham Event Centre Limited, another Level Car Park Limited, Sports Town Limited, Cranmer Education Trust, Esper Limited, The Mills Hollingwood Limited, Port Covers Hollingwood Limited, Brocco 501 Limited, and apparently what Barry's asking is the money being moved within these 8 associated companies, and if it is, why is it not remaining in Oldham Athletic? That's his concern. He wants to see Latics do well, but at the latest published accounts, it states here it's got net assets of minus 8.4 million. So if he's got minus 8.4 million on accounts it published on the 28th of March 2025, where's this 34.58 million gone? And why is where's the audit trail? Because you've got to bear in mind that most of this is public money. And so, being a decent copper, or ex-copper, you know, I'm Detective Superintendent of Greater Manchester Police, he's looking into the transactions. And he's been sent a letter basically threatening him from the Oldham Council, and you know, they are being hostile towards perfectly reasonable questions that Barry Owen is asking. If anybody run any business and got given some public funds, surely, you know, to be asked a simple question, where's it gone, is not out of the ordinary. It's an unreasonable question to ask. But Barry Owen's been, should I say, singled out by social media, saying, oh, you know, it's shouldn't be asking these questions, and the response to that is, well, why? Why shouldn't he ask the questions? You know, he's interested in Oldham Athletic Football Club. He's a big fan of Oldham Athletic Football Club. He wants the club to do well, and he's concerned that it's got minus 8.54 million, minus 8.4 million. It's decreased by, it's gone into further debt by 3.18 million. So where's all this money going? If indeed Mr. Rothwell put 12 million in, that would pump this up to 46 million. You've got 34.58 million of all the various grants and what the council have put in and what the previous owner said he put in, 14 million. It comes to 34.58. If you were to add 12 million into the mix, you'd be into 46.58 million. And yet the accounts that they've just published states they're 8.4 million in debt. And what, as I say again, what Barry Owen's asking is, where's it going? These 8 other companies, mutual companies of Oldham Athletic, is it being transferred between them? And if it is, why? Perfectly reasonable question, and similar to what happened to Mr. Matt Ramsbottom, who's the managing director of Credible Media, when he said that Oldham Council needed to have its books audited and looking into the financial transactions of the council. He himself was banned from council meetings, and they have withdrawn all contracts from Oldham Chronicle, that's based here in Oldham, that's reported on Oldham events for the last nearly 200 years. I think it was mid 1800s they started, or late 1800s, so 150 years plus definitely. And yet Oldham Council are seeking to cause as much damage to Oldham Chronicle, just purely on the grounds of Oldham Chronicle, and asking a perfectly reasonable question is, what's happening with all the money? And the accounts need auditing. And so there's 2 people there that have asked questions, and both have had very hostile responses from Oldham Council. Well, surely if they've got nothing to hide, they'd say, yeah, absolutely, here's an audit, this is where the money's gone, this is what we've done with it. And said the same to the Oldham Chronicle, or indeed to former detective Inspector Barry Owen. Barry Owen, I'll repeat, is a big fan of Oldham Athletic. He wants them to do well. His concerns are, where's the money going? As always, have a lovely weekend, and personally I would like to see, I'm an Everton fan, I always have been, but I would love to see Oldham Athletic get to Wembley. I'd love to see him promoted, I'd love to see him doing well. But I don't think there's anything wrong with Barry Owen asking questions of the council as to where's all the money going. And I think I'm rather cynical of the motives of trying to shut down people such as the managing director of media, a company that Matt Ramsbottom owns, and of course Barry Owen. Interesting times at the Latics. Wish them the best of luck. I do hope when they play Forest Green or York or even Halifax, whichever team they end up playing, that they get to the finals and they win it. I'd love to see them do that. But again, I repeat, I don't think there's anything wrong with what Barry is asking, or indeed what Matt Ramsbottom of the Oldham Evening Chronicle often. And I think both of them received solicitors' letters. Rather a shame that our council would resort to such measures. As always, God bless, take care, and have a lovely weekend. Bye for now.